Hi everyone, my name is Maras and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the basic fundamentals of Asol's early laning phase in the bot lane, as well as what you can do versus different types of matchups, and I also touch up a bit on the new rune Deathfire Touch and new changes to Arcane Comet. So I'll be showing you guys a few clips of my own gameplay and the thought process that goes through the plays that I make in the early laning phase, and also share some tips on what you can do and what mistakes to avoid as Asol in the bot lane. Alright guys, so I'm sure most of you guys already know by now that Asol has one of the strongest level 1 trait in the game against most champions. They have no CC at level 1 due to his Q's insane damage output. So as Asol, you always want to start with Q and push the wave as soon as the wave comes in. This is to ensure that you do not lose the level 2 rush, as it's one of the most important aspects of bot lane. So over here we traded a bit back and forth. As you can see, you always want to use your autos to trade with the enemy and then Q after. This to make sure you do the maximum damage output over to your enemies. So over here I chose not to use my flash to secure the kill on Camille, because if I were to do so with the ignite tick on me, Kaisa would be able to finish me off, and that's not going to be a good trade for me. So in this clip, we are going to talk about the placement of your E. You do not always have to use your E aggressively, but you can also use it defensively to ensure that you create a space between you and your enemies to space them away from you. So over here, as you can see, Camille tried to go for the 1-for-1 trade, and because I created this pocket of space between me and her, she wasn't able to do it, and because of that, she got sucked into the middle of my E and she got executed. In this next clip, I'm going up against Smolder and Nami, so as usual, we are going to add Q and start to push the wave with Q spell to ensure that we have the wave advantage against them. So by using this advantage that we have, we can trade aggressively without worrying about missing any CS. So over here you can see that Smolder still have 3 mage minions to finish off. And because of this advantage that we have now, Smolder is going to be more worried about trying to kill the minions off, so that he can hit level 2 early as well. But because we already have a slight advantage from earlier, me and Maokai are able to hit level 2 first. And hitting level 2 first in the bot lane is a really important aspect, because it can make a difference between getting a kill or not. But over here, of course, we are not able to get a kill because Maokai added sapling and his Q. So we don't have the advantage here. Okay, so over here, you can see that Zed already invaded my jungle. But because we have the push earlier, me and Maokai are able to rotate and roam towards the jungle to help my team out. So although Katarina and Rengar died, we were able to secure the kill on Zed. And this will make a lot of difference for my team. So over here, we have to back off because we're already outnumbered. But as you can see, because of the early advantage that we have in the lane, we were able to rotate earlier than our enemy bot lane, and this actually can transpire into a better play for my team, because now we know where the Z location is. He's dead, so he's respawning in the base, and we can roughly guess where his next pathing is going to be or where he's going to gank, so we know where his location is. Alright, so next up, I'm against Kaylin and Karma. In this clip, I'll be showing you how effective wave management will allow you to farm safely and ensure you deny some playthings from the enemies as well. So over here, as you can see, Karma already wasted his R and Q on the Lux, so I was able to trade into her to get 2 stacks over there. And right now, as usual, we're going to use our Q level 1 to try and push the wave out a little bit. But as you can see, because it's Kaylin and Karma, both of them have AoE spells to push the wave, so it's going to be really hard for me to outpush them. But that's fine. Do not worry about this part. They are going to outpush you for sure because they are stronger than you. It's fine. Alright? But because we are Asol, I'm going to show you a really great example of how our E is excellent at freezing the wave to force the enemy into a really tight spot. And because of this, you can see that we are denying them playthings. They are not able to go near to the turret because their wave is controlled at a space which is controlled for them. Right, so over here I'm going to throw my ear again. We're going to freeze the wave at this exact spot. Alright, take note, you do not want to channel your Q all the way to clear the wave fully. You want to make sure the wave is kept at this spot to ensure that the enemies are stuck at this positioning. So right now, as you can see, the wave is frozen at this spot, and it will prevent the enemy from trying to take any plating from us. And if they try to do so, they are going to get ganked. That is what they are thinking in their mind right now. So this is a great example of how you can use your E to zone your enemies out and play with their mind to create a pressure that they might get ganked by your jungler because they are not sure where they started. And especially if they are going to stay put under our turret, they are also prone to ganks from mid laners as well. So this will give you a safe space to farm safely and scale into the late game. Alright, so in this next clip, me and Sui made a huge mistake level 1 of not warding the bush early. And that transpired into this level 1 aggressive fight that we had to go through. So take note that whenever the fight starts, you want to quickly pop your potion to ensure that you are regenerating health back as you are taking hits from the enemy. So because of my potion earlier, Sui managed to land a great E to pull them both into the turret range, and we managed to finish them off. And also the potion that we popped earlier ensured that we survived the ignite tick damage, and with that we managed to get ahead with some advantage. So always remember, all these little things that you can do in the game, they all add up into some advantage for you sometimes if you do it right.
Good.
So also remember not to make a mistake of not warding the bush early, especially against aggressive champions like Nautilus Switch that really like to go for level 1 trades. Alright guys, so the most requested question I have received so far is, what keystone do I take now? Is it Deathfire Touch or Arcane Comet? So while both runes have their own pros and cons, I'm going to touch briefly on it in this video to talk about which one is better than the other. Firstly, let's talk about Deathfire Touch. So this keystone damages a champion with an ability and burns them for 4 seconds single target, 2 seconds AoE, and a 1 second COT damage. And the burn deals 3 to 12 levels of damage based on 7% bonus AD and also 2% AP adaptive damage per second. And this is after the newest update and the nerf to Deathfire Touch. So after the burn has been on a target for 3 seconds, the damage of the burn then increases by 100%. This means that DFT synergizes really well with burn items, so it will reach its maximum potential if you run both Blackfire Torch and Liandry's into your build, right? However, if you're going to run BFT, you're going to be really squishy, and it's going to be a glass cannon build because you're going to be delaying your defensive item to a 4th item, because you want to rush your Liandry's fast into your build as well, because Liandry's does so much damage if you have it on you. Okay, so next, the only champions that I would recommend running DFT into will be ADCs that are super strong early game. So like Tristana, Caitlyn, or Akshan. So all these champions does so much damage early game, and you can't really channel your Q onto them. And if you were to do that, I've already tried, believe me, you're going to take so much damage from them that it's not going to be worth the trade. Alright, so DFT is a keystone that can scale very well into late game, and the damage is very much similar to Arcane Comet if you are only running one burn item in your build. However, if you're running both burn items, DFT will out damage Arcane Comet in the long run. Okay, next let's talk about Arcane Comet. With the new rework, it removes its cooldown refund, and it now deals damage up to 100% increase based on the distance from the target, and max bonus is achieved at 750 range, which is Asol's Q range at level 1. And the damage has also been adjusted to 15 to 100 based on the level, and a 10% bonus AD plus a 5% bonus AP damage. Right, so this rune definitely got hit hard by having the cooldown removed. However, the new effect that amplifies damage on targets gives him a huge damage boost in the late game. So Comet is really good into champions matchups that are poke heavy, and especially if they are long range as well. So you won't be able to proc your DFT long enough, or even get close enough to proc your DFT onto them to reach your full damage potential, right? So after over 100 of games of testing with both runes, I found that Comet will out damage DFT in the late game if you're only running one burn item in your build due to the new damage amplified effect. So in conclusion, both keystone works really well with Asol right now and can be used depending on the matchups you're up against. But my highly favorite keystone is still going to be Arcane Comet. However, I know a lot of you would prefer DFT, and there isn't going to be much difference if you run DFT or Arcane Comet if you are not running double burn. Right, so if you guys want to run Deathfire Touch and the enemies are not assassin heavy or a dive comp, you can go for a double burn build, which is BFT, Rylance into Leandris, and then you can go for Death Cap, Shadow Flame, and even Blood Ladders. However, if you have to go for an anti-healing build, you can go for Morelos, and for a defensive build, if you really need one, just go for Zhonya's. Zhonya's is always a good defensive item for any champion. Alright, so next, if you guys prefer an Arcane Comet build, it's going to be the usual standard build. Do Rylance into Leandris. I won't really recommend going BFT, but if you want to, because of mana issues, you can try to go for this build, but I won't recommend it. So otherwise, you can just do a Death Cap or a Shadow Flame as your third and fourth item if they are not assassins heavy. And as usual, if your team needs anti-healing, go for Morelos. If not, you can also throw in a Magi's if you have a lot of stacks early. And yeah, that's how the Arcane Comet build will go. Alright, so after sharing both of the builds that you guys can try, do give them a shot and let me know down in the comments below which build you would prefer and which keystones. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers!